I want to show you something. I think I showed this before, but I want to show you something. And I'm videoing this because I'm going to share it again with somebody. I've shared it on my channel before. Let me turn the light on. I'm changing the oil on this truck. I had the oil draining since this morning, so as you can see, it ain't really draining no more. I didn't cut the grass and all of that, and I just let that sit out there and drain. So nothing else draining from that pan. It's completely empty. But a young guy, he has a similar truck like mine, and he says, oh yeah, you gotta take that tire off to get to that oil filter. I'm gonna take the tire off and get that oil filter. I said, so I was trying to talk to him. I said, well, if you had an extension, you wouldn't have to take the tire off. Yeah, you gotta take that tire because the way they got it set up in there, blah, 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 right? So I kept quiet. Sometimes you can't help nobody that don't want your help, right? But I want you to see something. This tire is on. This tire is on. It's not been taken off. As you can see in there, that's the oil filter. That's the filter wrench that I'm using. You can actually use one of the ones with just a circle loop and put up under there and push it back, but the way I've got these coolant lines that I replaced, it's a little too low to keep, you know, you only get to move it about an inch, and then you have to get it back in position, move it, so it would take longer to use one of those little circular wrenches. So with the oil filter wrench attached to this socket here, to this ratchet right here, it's just an extended ratchet, so you don't have to remove the tire. You can stay back, and if you had it, you can either get a longer flexible ratchet, and you can stay all the way out of the wheel fender here and just loosen it. It depends on how long of a ratchet you have, but look at this. Isn't that loosening? You know, because I know some people, they have to see certain things to believe it, and you know, it looks to me like that's being loosened, you know? Doesn't look like it's tight on there. And then, you know, I believe I may be able to finish loosening it. Get down on one knee and finish loosening it by hand. Look at there. Look at there. There you go. Not a messy job either, because now, okay, show you another trick. It has to come out, right? And the wheel is on. You can see the wheel is on. The wheel is still on. So here's another trick. This little tool right here, I got it from Gino's Garage. Gino's Garage. You can go online and order one. I think I paid like $25, $30 since I had it for several years. I don't know how much it is now, but you can order one, because that filter is going to have to come out through this little space here. But you tilt it and bring it out, you're going to waste all over here, and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to put this in top of the filter and tighten it down in there. Make sure it's tight. Okay, that seems to be tight, and I'm going to bring it out now. This right here, when I was putting these coolant lines on, there's a bracket where this fastens to these lines, but I didn't use the bracket. But I put the bolt right here, and this bolt, I know it's probably going to scrape that can. When I pull it out, I may need to loosen this bolt just to have that extra inch, but I got some play in these lines, so we'll see. Let's try to pull this out with that bolt right there and see how that goes. I might not be able to do it with one hand. Well, I think I can manage. There we go. Get this cover out the way. And you see, now suppose I didn't have this thing on. All that oil would have spilled. See how that tilted down and everything? So, oh, the filter wrench is stuck on there. Okay, I can get that out. Put this down, get this hand free. But you see, this works wonders, that little thing. from Gino's garage. So that was another thing I was going to tell him, but he didn't want to hear the first part of what I was saying. So I know when to keep my mouth shut. I know how to be quiet, baby. I know how to be quiet. Eventually I'm going to do something so I don't always have to scrape this line when I pull it out, because these lines are, I replaced the first ones because they were rubbing and they busted. But next time I'll use two hands. I'll push it back a little bit. But anyway, that's that. And I'm gonna stick the new filter up there and get it started by hand as well. Okay, so I got the new filter. I'm just gonna push it right back in there, in that little space there. I don't usually fill mine up with oil. I know some people do, but I don't. I'm gonna push it. Let me get it back up in there. Push it back up in there. Come on now. Let me get a little. Probably need two hands so I can hold this up some and push it back up in there, because it don't look like I can get it with this one hand. Hold on. Wait a minute. Okay, now I got it in there. I had to push this hose back some. And I'm just gonna start it by hand. Tighten it up. Start it tightening up by hand. And then I'll get the wrench back on. And I'll get the wrench back on and finish tightening it. There we go. All right. It's hand tighten, so I'm going to get the wrench. Just tighten it a little more. Turn it, you see where B at? I'm going to just turn it around and get A where B is at, and that'll be good enough. So I hand tighten it pretty good. And the tire is still on. Simple oil filter change. Bada boom, bada bing. And this is how you replace a case filter. Forgive me. This is a 5/16 ratcheting wrench. These are, you can use a 5/16 wrench, or I think a 8mm also. Just sit the bolts to the side. Just loosen these 4 bolts in this engine cover and remove the engine cover. Those to the side. Gotta move this oil stick. The oil stick. And I haven't replaced the oil yet. The crankcase filter needs to be replaced every 67,500 miles. So I haven't added the oil in there. Whenever it's due, if it's due on your oil change, I'd like to change it before I add fresh oil in there as well. And so then I'll loosen these bolts. Has several bolts all up around here, about 8 bolts. On the back, you're going to need a wrench as well. You can also use a socket, but I wouldn't recommend using a power socket because you can crack this. Like you see here, your girl done cracked that. So I would not recommend using a power socket. I tried to put some glue in there to hold that one in, but we'll see if it works. I'm going to put the phone down so I can finish loosening these much faster, and I'll show you how the crankcase filter looks in just a minute. Okay, so I had to take my flathead and pry these up because this is where this is cracked, but it's also this entire stud here. It spins down in there. I tried to use some what do you call it, what's that famous glue, thinking see if I could get it back in there. I'm gonna cover this oil filter, this oil engine cover up. I don't want anything going down in that engine, but it's just those 2 side studs that are stuck, this one and that one, right? So what I did, I just pried up on them and I just leave them in there and don't even worry about it. It won't hurt anything. And then what you would do with this bad boy here, is you just lift up on it enough to slide it out of the way. And this is the old crankcase filter. You can get, it just pops up. And basically, it just slides right on out. This is the old one. And that's it. Yep. You can, it's Fleetguard. You can save yourself $245 by doing it yourself. Simple as that. Loosening those bolts and popping the old filter out. Not even that messy. As you can see, all flows through there. The old one away, and there's your new one. You just pop the new one right back in there. I'm gonna put this phone down because I'm gonna clean. I'm gonna wipe up under there a bit, and then I'm just gonna pop the new one back in there. That's it. Okay, also I forgot to share this. I've already got the crankcase filter back in, and let me reiterate, do not over tighten these bolts. They don't need that much torque on it. Just snug it down just a little bit, and that's it. Do not over tighten these bolts, or definitely the bolts on a crankcase filter, because you don't want to crack this like I did. I've got these two bolts, well, this section over here cracked. That stud just got, that entire thing that the stud goes into got stuck. I believe I can repair that. I just got to figure out how. I got to do a little research, ask some of the experts, but don't over tighten these bolts. And what I forgot to share is, on the crankcase filter, it needs to be replaced every 67,500 miles. There's a code if you don't go to the dealer. If you got a computer, you can put your computer on it. If you got a high-tech computer, you can put your computer on it and just reset it with the computer. Or there's a method you can use where you press the brake pedal down a certain amount of times, switch it on, switch it off. I'll put the link in my comment section, and if anybody is replacing the crankcase filter, you can click on that link and screenshot it, so you'll know the procedures. If you don't have a bi-directional computer, then you can just use those procedures and do it manually like that without having to go to the dealer for a reset. But anyway, that's simple. Crankcase filter reset, and that is the end, guys. Now I'm just going to replace this with oil. It calls for 12 quarts of oil, but what I like to do, once I get about 11 quarts down in there, I like to let it sit for a while and pull out my stick just to make sure I've got it right. My neighbor says, "Oh, you're just a perfectionist." No, but I like to get it right. It's good if you get it right. Right? Then you don't use too much oil. All right, have a blessed day.